Beginning November 3rd, the hard part begins. And the hard part is once you've won, what do you do next? That's the problem that Jerry Brown will face once he's elected governor of California. All polls indicate that Brown's ahead and that he'll surge to a victory. And then he'll be faced in January with a structural deficit, massive changes in demographics for California, and the problem really of governing the state. And that's when the heavy lifting begins, and we see whether his experience will pay off over the next year, his first year in office. The honeymoon will be short, and the problems will be tough, and that's what will face Brown beginning in January 2011.
Leading members of the Democratic Party have a kind of misfocused rage at the president, and I think this is because they expected that when he was elected he would come in and fix everything and be able to act on all of these campaign promises. But the reality is that a president can only do as much as the capacity that we give him. And in the case of Barack Obama, he has asked us to hold him accountable. So from the perspective of movements and the way that people's movements and presidents interact, presidents are not responsible for leading movements. They want to be led by them. So if anyone's dropped the ball here, maybe it's us. You know, if we think that a ball's been dropped in the White House, I think we have to look to see how well we've been organizing to hold him accountable.
One of the things that can be said, or is frequently asked in elections, especially when you're spending the kind of money that's being spent this year, is, does it really matter? Is this the difference between Tweedledee and Tweedledum? And in fact, if you start looking at the stark differences as stated between, say, the Republicans and the Democrats, whether you're talking about in the state of California or nationally, the answer is elections clearly do matter at some level. There are two very, very different world views expressed in California, for example, between gubernatorial candidates Jerry Brown and Meg Whitman. One of them is talking about how governance is a part of a long process of evaluation, a long process of negotiations, a long process of compromise, whereas the other candidate is simply saying that government is to be run just like a business and that what we need is some kind of efficiency, etc. Those are very different, not only different belief systems, but very different operational systems. One will lead to something probably quite similar to what we have now, a governor who tends to try and sort of rule by going to plebiscites, by asking the people. One will lead to other previous governors, both Republicans and Democrats, who think that the way you make the system work is to negotiate, to look for differences and similarities and work it out that way. So at one level, just the operational viewpoint of those two are examples of why elections really can make a difference going forward. It's a different style, but it's also based on a different perception of the way the political world ought to work.